It is my pleasure to welcome you all to Gold Rush Reporter. Rely on for all things related to metals and extracting minerals. This is Daryl Thomas, and I am your host. It is our delight to announce that conducting an interview with Doomberg, a leading user of Substack for financial transactions, regional, national, and international politics economy as a whole. I hope you're doing well. Who is Doomberg? It's wonderful to see you again, my darling. Close associate. Yes, exactly. That being said, let me begin by pure gold. Oh, the price of gold has been much more than 3,700 per ounce. Calmed down somewhat after the Federal Reserve reduced loan rates, and therefore simply I would greatly appreciate your thoughts on pure gold. Yes, without a doubt. Of course, gold is, as you pointed out, experiencing a landmark run, also happens to be among the top performing investments for the year. And we believe this is actually an indication of major changes occurring in the global political landscape. How quickly those changes are taking place, and the function that gold will probably join the next global power structure, which, in our opinion, is seeing fast growth. That piqued our curiosity the most, naturally, were both major gatherings in China not long ago. The cooperation in Shanghai business, where we were formally headed by President Putin of Russia, India's Prime Minister Modi and all meeting with Chinese President Xiang in unison. Our main idea is currently within India. With our next Zoom presentation regarding our impending doom losing is the real name for Proteer. Asian nation. Oh, and the 85th subsequent commemoration of the final days of World War II. That procession in China was absolutely breathtaking to observe. Well, having Kim around a trifecta of Kim Jong-un, Putin, and Xi Jinping. The identical container was a sight to behold, Then, there was the incredible variety that China deployed. Its cutting-edge weaponry on presentation is limited to important message to the US claims that China has made some progress, certain doom in the absence of military domination over the US states. Likely a divisive phrase to use when addressing Americans, yet we think it's real. That being said, international, the kind of half-century reign of the US dollar's gold window following Nixon. It appears that the financial system is nearly there. It appears to be, at the very least, dividing into two groups. The G7 nations and the Southern Hemisphere. Within a continent where the likes of China, India and Brazil. As for Russia, and a couple of other sizable economies, as an example, Indonesia might start trading and live in harmony with one another beyond the monetary system in the West. Well, we consider that to be extremely optimistic, for we can discuss the reasons for the gold. So, well, we're not always sold on the idea of gold as an old-fashioned kind of investment. Oh, I see. It's anywhere near the financial universe. Thus, when the price of gold rises, we actually think about it when the US dollar declines, as well as a great deal of fascinating topics to discuss in relation to precious metal, yet it has undeniably been on a fantastic performance. I see. Given this, I'd like to delve a bit deeper into the, trade functioning in a currency other than the US dollar system has been operating and everything. How important is this, therefore, for certain countries that can communicate while engaging in free commerce with an impartial reserve, medium of exchange, such as gold? I see. In that case, we ought to, pause for a moment over the 50 years that I mentioned in passing in my initial response, specifically how disparities in global commerce, including, I suppose you've settled down, with the neutrality of US Treasury's liquid asset reserve. I mean, you'd have to park any US-based surplus from your trade's United States treasuries, enabling to run budget shortfalls at low interest rates, serving as the world's primary money bearer. That is evolving, and it's due to the United States' conduct. The United States' initial move that has for this shift to occur is the United States in the wake of the worldwide economic collapse. This, in my opinion, startled the Chinese in focused on, but also weaponizing the unilateral sanctions using the US dollar limits placed on nations such as Iran and of Russia and China. Import duties and sanctions have started to resemble tool, obnoxious though they both may be. Sanctions or tariffs imposed on India and Brazil, well, shouldn't astound others. It is our belief that in the center is the United States and its allies in the aftermath of World War II and the BRICS countries. Yeah, that's a war. It appears that the United States is going to come out on top. And hence there is a quite complex maneuver occurring behind the scenes. We learn from the past that you won't discover what's happening in today's media, and I highly doubt that you will ever discover the truth over a long period of time. That being said, view. Well, the thing is, weaponizing the US dollar can lead to the fact that US debt is neutral. And it's obvious as day. If you capture Russia has $200 billion in reserves at the moment, those weren't mostly held by the government. Nonetheless, bond instruments issued by European countries seated in Europe without obstruction. Southeast Asia must subsequently examine. Such assets are now considered to be biased. When you make a mistake, regardless of the decision made by President Trump, might face consequences, and what you believe to be your frozen assets or deprive you of. In fact, that is the main reason why gold's respect, which we consider essential financial institutions globally, that might stay out of US foreign policy goals, start to get jumbled beyond the burden of Western debt, and towards a neutral reserve, naturally isn't anybody's fault. Thus, we look at the USD gold price as a way to gauge the progress of that war. And as the cost of gold rises, the likelihood that this new age will be swept away. All right. I see. What a plethora of these countries that view the United States as in the United States for their company. There were probably more than one that have taken place. Needless to say, Russia, as you may be aware, has its powers, or the justifications for, or something along those lines. Know that India is purchasing oil from Russia, and Trump then publicly states that he is intent to levy taxes on India for the purpose of purchasing oil from Russia. Compare it to what does it concern him? Could you tell me what that is in this company? In addition to the